Hey there, it's Dave Altavilla for HotHardware, and this, of course, is Apple's iPad Air 2, powered by Apple's new tri-core A8X processor with beefed-up graphics and a super tight 2048 by 1536 high-res 9.7-inch display. The new iPad Air 2 is truly a lot of potent power, though perhaps not massive, as Apple likes to note, in a very minimal form. And of course, the model we're testing isn't silver nor space gray. No, we've got the gold version. Why? Because gold is best. Sorry, I just had to say that. In all seriousness, the iPad Air 2 Gold version is actually pretty nice, with a flat matte finish that resists fingerprints well, with the exception of the glossy Apple logo that has a mirror-like finish to it. And it's ridiculously thin. By way of comparison here versus the 2013 Nexus 7, the 9.7-inch iPad Air 2 is actually over 2 millimeters thinner than this 7-inch Nexus tablet. It's an appreciable difference, and at just under a pound, it's one of the lightest 10-inch class tablets we've ever used. To be fair, the average 7-inch tablet like the Nexus 7 here weighs only about a half pound, but still, for a 10-inch slate, the iPad Air 2 is super svelte. The new iPad Air 2, though thinner than the original iPad Air, shares the same layout for the most part. On the bottom, you've got stereo speaker ports and the Lightning connector sync and charge port. On the top right corner, you'll find the 8-megapixel iSight camera, which is a significant upgrade from the previous generation's 5-megapixel shooter. You'll also find the on-off sleep-wake button and volume up and down buttons here as well. There's no screen lock or mute slide switch, however, on this model. On the top edge, you'll find the headphone jack, and there are dual microphones here as well. And of course, on the top front of the display is the usual 1.2 megapixel front-facing FaceTime HD camera. Finally, the iPad Air 2 does now incorporate Apple's Touch ID fingerprint identity sensor that's built into the home button on the bottom front of the device. And of course, iOS 8 is here, and it's the same operating system that Apple has been praised for with respect to its simplicity and polish. Navigation and control is clean and straightforward, and iOS is arguably the most user-friendly operating system out there right now for tablets. What's more impressive, perhaps, though, is the new laminate display on the iPad Air 2. There's no more air gap between the display itself and the glass surface. Icons definitely seem to pop that much more, and response time to touch is instantaneous. Brightness, contrast, and color saturation are also excellent, and this is easily one of the best tablet displays going right now, to be certain. Whether plunking around on web pages, viewing pictures, playing games, or watching movies, the iPad Air 2's display impresses at every turn. The new 8-megapixel iSight camera is also a notable upgrade, even though we're not big on taking pictures with 10-inch tablets. Outdoor lighting helps produce decent, sharp, and vibrant stills, though indoor settings tend to have the usual grain. The new 8-megapixel iSight camera in the Air 2 is one of the best tablet cameras out there right now, we suppose, though it's definitely not a make-or-break feature to have on your list, in our opinion. Performance-wise, on the other hand, the A8X processor powering the Air 2 may just be the biggest reason to consider the device if you're looking to pick up a new slate or even to upgrade from the previous gen. With what Apple claims is 2.5x faster graphics and 40% more CPU power, the 64-bit tri-core A8X is really powerful and offers killer gaming performance. In fact, it's lining up to probably be the fastest tablet processing engine on the market right now. And though we haven't gotten the Nexus 9 in yet for testing, it could even outpace NVIDIA's Tegra K1 dual-core Denver SoC that's on board that device. Though we'll reserve final commentary on that until we run Google's next-gen tablet through our benchmark gauntlet. However, compared to some of the fastest devices in the market right now, the Air 2 leads the pack in almost every test. Here in GFX Bench, the iPad Air 2 moves to the top of our benchmark charts and slips past NVIDIA's Shield tablet that's powered by NVIDIA's Tegra K1 32-bit quad-core variant. The graphics engine on this version of Tegra K1 is expected to be the same 192 Kepler-based graphics core that's in NVIDIA's 64-bit dual-core Denver variant as well, though we can't directly confirm that just yet. Regardless, this could be an early indicator. In 3D Mark Ice Storm, however, the Air 2 falls short of the Shield tablet and Tegra K1 by a significant margin across the board, in all of the benchmark's metrics for that matter, from its physics score to its graphics testing. The largest percentage delta is with respect to its physics calculation performance, where the Shield tablet and Tegra K1 nearly double the Air 2's performance. Conversely, according to Geekbench, the Air 2 reigns supreme again in both single-core throughput and multi-core performance, even though Apple's A8X is a tri-core versus the 32-bit Tegra K1 quad-core architecture. There's no question Apple's A8X is a potent chip and can handle pretty much anything you'd ever want to throw at a tablet currently. However, that doesn't mean it's a battery hog, and the Air 2 proves itself to be just as efficient as the previous generation despite its significant performance advantage. So that's the story of the iPad Air 2. It's ridiculously thin and light, it's built well, it has a gorgeous display, and it performs like a powerhouse premium slate should. In fact, if a thin and light consumption device is what you're after, the iPad Air 2 is probably one of the best choices in the market right now, if price isn't a concern. That said, the Air 2 is just plain expensive. There's no getting around the fact that Apple caters to the high end and likes its profit margins. Starting at $499 for just the 16 gig flavor and working its way up to a crazy expensive $699 for the 128 gig model, and starting at $639 if you want cellular enabled. If you've got the coinage, the Air 2 is a great device. However, it's still a steep price to pay, especially when you consider Google's Nexus 9 is expected to enter the market shortly at a full $100 less for its base model. So is the Air 2 worth the upgrade if you're on a previous gen iPad Air? Well, probably not, unless you really want that extra bit of performance oomph that the A8X chip offers in the iPad Air 2. Still, you have to hand it to Apple for building a very sleek, powerful, and sharp-looking tablet once again. There's nothing earth-shattering about the iPad Air 2, but it's still impressive to see what Apple can pack into such a thin and light device. Make sure you stop by HotHardware.com for our full review with all the benchmark details, and hit that subscribe button here for future coverage, reviews, and our 2.5 Geeks webcast. I'm Dave Altavilla with Apple's iPad Air 2. Thanks for stopping by.